it's Sam here from Horton Digital. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the different types of paid media platforms that we have available and how we can identify the right opportunities for each one of our individual clients' needs. Okay, so when we're looking at digital media, we have three types. Today we're going to be looking at paid media. So if a company is paying to promote its messaging on any external platform, examples of this include Google ads, Microsoft ads, social media ads, as well as more traditional options such as television commercials, print ads, or billboards. These are all paid media because we're paying for the attention on these third-party platforms. So then we have owned media. So these are channels that the company owns itself, such as a blog or a website or organic social media posts that we have actually curated ourselves and posted on these platforms. We actually own that media. Then the goal of paid and owned is to generate earned media. This is very powerful because this is when other people actually spread the awareness for us without us having to actually put in any additional efforts. So some examples of this could include news stories, reviews, shared or reposted social media content and articles. So they're the three different types of digital media that we have available to us today. So when looking at different platforms, there's so many to choose from, so it can get quite confusing as to which one we should be using. It depends on a case-by-case basis. You have to identify what your client's needs are, and we're going to be running through that in the next few slides. So when advertising on these platforms, the goal is to find where our ideal customer is, what platforms they use, and what platform offers the most underpriced attention. So we're looking basically to get the most bang for our buck when choosing an advertising platform. So before we actually advertise on a platform, we must identify our ideal customer. So in order to do this, we must ask some questions. So who do we want to work with? Identify their fears and their goals. What are they looking for? What do they need? How they make buying decisions, the products and brands they use, their age and gender, their demographic, and their interests and hobbies. So once you've answered all these questions, you'll have a really good idea of what your ideal customer looks like. Take your time in this exercise because it's really important to know exactly what your target audience looks like. Okay, so before selecting what platform you use, we must identify the goal of that campaign to ensure that the platform actually allows us to cater for that goal. Maybe you want to increase brand awareness or generate lead inquiries, increase revenue, acquire new customers, establish industry authority, or something else. So what is the budget? It's important to know how much your monthly spend is going to be. Perform some keyword research to find out the cost per click in their industry, and find out how much search volume each keyword is getting, just so you can estimate, is there a demand for their service? If you do your keyword research and you realize there's actually not much search volume for that industry, they might have to consider another advertising method. So perform a thorough keyword and competitive research in order to set realistic expectations with the client from the start. Just bear in mind that the more competitive and niche, the higher the cost per click is going to be. Okay, so the first platform we're going to look at today is one of my favorite platforms and the one I use the most, and it's Google Ads. And for good reason. It's the most popular search engine in the world. It allows us to pop up the moment someone searches for a product or service like yours. It's keyword based, so you must make sure extensive keyword research is done prior to setting up the account. It allows us to test and get results very quickly. You can use a minimal ad budget. I recommend starting with a minimum of $20 a day. It has very high return on investment potential. Average ROAS is between 4 and 5 times your initial investment, and most advertisers expect a minimum of 2x within the first year if they know what they're doing. It's hyper targeted, so as long as you've done in-depth research into your ideal customer, you can target your customer based on all their interests and their demographics, etc. It has rich geo-targeting, so you don't even need to just target a whole country. You can target an individual suburb or area or town. And we have retargeting capabilities. This is really powerful. It allows us to target people who have visited our website before and re-advertise to them. It has very detailed settings. This can be a drawback as you have to invest some time into learning how the platform works. And the more you know how it works, the more you can optimize it and the better results you can get. Another downside is it can be quite time consuming to figure out the platform and to actually manage and maintain the ad accounts. Okay, so then we have Google's biggest competitor, Microsoft Ads. Microsoft is growing year on year, and it now has more than 133 million active users, 30 billion monthly searches. It is cheaper than Google Ads, which is one of the main reasons people are drawn to the platform. It is a lot less competitive, there's much less advertisers on it, which is why it's cheaper. Some of the features are actually a little bit better than Google Ads, like the ad extensions, the site link extensions are a little more detailed. Has 56% higher conversion rate than Google. This could be because it's less competitive. People are used to seeing less advertisements on Microsoft. The targeting, just like Google, is very detailed if you know your ideal target audience. Microsoft owns multiple search engines, including Bing, Yahoo, and AOL. It actually used to be called Bing Ads, but because they have different search engines, they now just call it Microsoft Ads. So if you already have a campaign on Google Ads, you can easily pull all the data from Google into Microsoft with a click of the button, and it's actually automated, so you can set this to update every day or every week, just to make sure all the changes you make in Google are actually imported into Microsoft. 34% of desktop search engine share is possessed by Bing. Nearly three quarters of the users are over 35. This is important to consider, as if your target audience is under 35, probably not the best platform for you. 30% of the users' average income is 100,000 USD and up. So that means that you have an older, more wealthy demographic using Bing. So this is great for clients who are selling more high-end luxury services. One of the downsides is it has less reach than Google Ads because you have less monthly users. Okay, so Instagram ads. Everyone's heard of Instagram. Many agencies and advertisers advertise on Instagram because it's such a popular platform. There's so many users on it, it's got such a big user base. It would seem senseless not to advertise on this platform. You can show your ads up in feeds, posts, stories, and you can add a call to action button on all these. Set your different advertising goals depending on what your campaign goal is for traffic, for leads, for brand awareness. If you know your target audience, it has very detailed audience targeting due to the huge user base. Instagram recommends video ads as they tend to convert higher than just still images. Has over 1 billion monthly active users. It is a very mobile-centric platform, so it's important to curate your content for mobile, as it is a mobile app, so most of the users are using this on mobile phones. You can start off with as little as $1 per day ad budget and start testing out which ads are working. You have different bid strategies, so cost per impressions, cost per click, cost per acquisition, and cost per lead. I do recommend when you start advertising on Instagram, you start off with cost per 1,000 impressions or cost per click. Once you've got enough data, then you know then you have a good idea of how much it costs to acquire a lead or a customer, and then you can optimize for CPA or CPL. It is better suited to advertising from business directly to customers. The average cost per click is between 40 cents and 70 cents per click, and per 1,000 impressions, $2.50 to $3.50. So it's still quite cost effective, although the cost is rising due to increased competition. Okay, so then we'll look at Facebook ads. Facebook, like Instagram, has a huge user base. It actually has 3 times the user base as Instagram, with 2.94 billion monthly users, the largest out of any social media platform at the moment. So because of this, you can advertise to a very specific demographic. It allows us to choose a particular campaign objective. You have various ad placements. It allows us to create custom audiences and lookalike audiences. If you're not sure what a lookalike audience is, this allows us to upload some data from customers who have bought from us or engaged from us already, and create an audience of people who look like that previous customer. So it's really powerful. It's a great way of expanding your targeting. You must create visually compelling ads that speaks to users' pain points, and just like Instagram, Facebook converts better with video. It's just how it is. Has very robust analytics, so we can really look at the data. Although since the iOS update, it has kind of messed around the reporting. But there's other ways that we can work around that as well. Overall, the analytics on Facebook ads is still great. Due to the huge user base, it is very competitive, so the advertising cost is increasing year on year. Although with other competitors coming into the market, who knows where that will take Facebook in the coming years. So some of the downsides of Facebook, they have very terrible customer support. I found when trying to get hold of them, they're not the easiest people to get hold of. Google customer support is amazing. They're generally very quick at responding to you. Facebook, not so much. So you might have to spend some time troubleshooting on YouTube or on Google and forums, trying to fix certain issues you come across. So Facebook rules and approvals. So sometimes you'll create an ad and it will get disapproved for some reason. They don't necessarily always provide instructions on how to actually fix the issues that can arise. So this can be quite frustrating when you do encounter this problem. Again, you'll have to troubleshoot yourself or try and find an expert who knows what the problem is. Okay, so Snapchat ads. So Snapchat has a much smaller user base than Facebook and Instagram with just 347 million active users. You can start with as little as $5 per day, so it's cheap to start advertising on Snapchat. It allows us to post engaging content in a story format and target people based on their interests, behaviors, location, and much more. The targeting isn't as detailed as Facebook because the user base is much smaller. Gives us a few less options, but you can still target people pretty accurately. And it's more of a younger demographic uses Snapchat, so generally 24 and below. If that's your target audience, Snapchat is a great platform to advertise on. Okay, so Pinterest ads. Pinterest ads is much less competitive compared to Facebook, Instagram, Google, and Microsoft. And for this reason, it's very cost effective. So it has 459 monthly active users, so more than Snapchat. Sells lifestyle as well as decorating and planning ideas. It's a very visual platform, so you must make sure that your ads really tie into that theme. Don't be uploading crappy ads and then expect to get great results on Pinterest. You need to make sure your content is really visually aesthetic. In 2020, their user base grew by 46%, and ads are shown to users based on past activities and interests. Their sponsored posts fit right in to the organic posts, so the ads do look very natural in the feed. Doesn't jump out, say, wow, like that is definitely an ad. It kind of blends in and it looks quite natural. So it allows you to select different advertising objectives. It's a great platform to encourage website traffic, app installs, and sales. Their user base does lean slightly more towards the female demographic. So if your user base is more female, it could be a great option for you. Okay, so Twitter ads. Twitter ads is a hub for news, politics, culture, and social movements. Users tend to be quite highly educated and generally have a higher average income than Instagram and Facebook users. It's more popular between users aged 30 to 59 who live in suburban city areas. You can target audience based on common interests and keywords, or use your customer match list, lookalike audiences for laser light targeting. Different types of Twitter ads are promoted tweets, promoted accounts, or promoted trends. This was an interesting statistic. Users spend 26% more time looking at Twitter ads than other social media platforms. I believe this is because it's less competitive. Users are less numb to seeing ads, so they're more likely to actually engage with the ads on the platform. 330 million active monthly users, so still a large user base. And Twitter impressions and clicks are much lower cost, so it's quite economical to advertise on this platform. However, some of the drawbacks is the conversion tracking is very poor, so you'll want to be using some third-party analytics platform like Google GA4, and it's not very user-friendly. It can take a lot of time to figure out how the platform operates, so it might be a good idea to steer away if you don't have much time to actually learn how the platform operates. So TikTok ads. TikTok is blowing up. It's been blowing up over the last couple of years, so it makes sense for a lot of advertisers to move towards the platform. Their reach spans over more than 150 countries and 1 billion monthly active users. This is now on par with Instagram. So it's easy to use the advertising platform. 62% of users are under the age of 30, although older demographics are moving towards the platform every day. And as that user base increases, it will attract more and more of an older audience. It allows us to accurately target potential customers and create custom lookalike audiences who look exactly like your target audience. It's got pretty good analytics. I wouldn't say it's as good as Facebook's, but it allows us to accurately track and measure the performance of the campaigns. It does have a minimum daily ad spend of $20 per day. However, when setting up a campaign, $20 a day is a pretty moderate budget with any sort of platform. If you're going to really get some data to work with, I'd recommend you start off at $15, $20 a day minimum anyway. So I don't think this is a big ask from TikTok. It only supports video ads. Smart video feature allows us to create edited videos if you don't want to actually curate the videos yourself. And per 1,000 impressions, it's $10, so it is a little bit more costly than advertising on Instagram and Facebook in terms of impressions. When we look at LinkedIn ads, you can target people in the business world, people who are looking for jobs or corporate employees, entrepreneurs, etc., etc. It's the only platform that is targeted just towards the business world, so it's great for B2B marketing. It allows us to display our ads in the business and news feed, or use sponsored direct messaging feature to actually directly message users. This is a really powerful feature, and many advertisers have had a lot of success for lead generation using these sponsored direct messaging ads. They provide a pay-per-click or a cost per 1,000 impressions option. More expensive than other advertising platforms. This is because they have a more corporate user base. So the fact you can laser target people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, the fact this is valuable in itself. This is why it's more expensive, because it allows us to access this kind of user who has money to spend. So the fact you can actually access an entrepreneur or a CEO of a company, you could potentially make a lot more ROI on those leads you generate compared to just Facebook and Instagram, which might have less wealthy user base. It offers laser focused audience targeting, allows us to target based on company role, their seniority at the company, income, job titles, and more. So the conversion action tracking is actually very easy to set up. It doesn't take long at all to set up conversion tracking for clicks, for button clicks, for form fill outs, for email clicks, etc. And you can do this all through Google Tag Manager, which makes it very, very straightforward and very fast. Has a low click-through rate on single image and dynamic ads. So low click-through rate, bit of a drawback. Obviously, as advertisers, we're looking for these key metrics, and a low click-through rate is not a great thing, to be honest. This could be because the user base is a little bit more tuned in to marketing, to advertising, and they see an ad and they just tune it out. But with good audience segmentation, targeting your key audience, and conversion action tracking, if you set these up correctly, you can definitely set up a very profitable, successful campaign using LinkedIn ads. I definitely recommend it for B2B marketing. Okay, so each one of these platforms is a private company, so they have their own policies and restrictions. Certain platform policies can make it difficult to advertise for certain things. For example, targeting people's personal attributes, brand usage in ads, or adult content, or targeting someone's personal health. Generally, flag up. So if you're working with, I worked with a supplement brand before in the bodybuilding industry, and because it was in that niche, a lot of times it did get flagged for steroid use. Even though it wasn't steroids, it was kind of bundled in with that in that category. So often I had to actually appeal the ads. Most of the time successfully managed to get it approved, but it's something to consider depending on what industry you're advertising in. Some of these policies can be an issue. So with personal health, I worked at a physiotherapist clinic, and on Google Ads, I had some trouble advertising for symptoms such as arthritis or the word pain. Things like words like this triggered disapproval a lot of the times. So I had to find ways to work around this. So depending on what industry you're in, this could be problematic. Just make sure you're upfront with the client about this and work with them to try and find the best solution. When doing your customer research, identify if any of these could be an issue prior to setting up the campaign, and again, work with the client to try and come up with a solution. So automation. There has been a big push towards automation, such as Google's Performance Max campaigns, automated bidding, and automated campaign bidding adjustments. These can be a useful tool and can save time when used in the right instances, but I wouldn't completely rely on them. I still prefer to set things up manually and use these tools alongside my manual campaigns Performance Max campaigns can provide some great insights and give you some good audience targeting ideas, but I wouldn't rely solely on the automated bidding, automated campaigns, as it can run away with your ad spend, and it can also take a lot more time and doesn't always work straight out the gate. The lack of visibility with like Performance Max campaigns can make it hard to trust if something is working or not. But that's not to say they can't be used and they aren't helpful in many cases. And as the technology improves, as time goes on, I'm sure we will find that the results from these automated campaigns and bidding adjustments get better and better. So some final things to consider. There is no one-size-fits-all method. Each client is very, very different. They have different needs, they have different target audiences, different products and services. So that's why it's important to communicate well with the client, understand the client's needs, and help the client understand if you realize a different solution is right for them. So remember that you are the expert. They hired you as the marketer to provide results. So don't be afraid to give your honest opinion, and don't be afraid to tell the client, I think this could actually work better for you. So if you made it this far, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you found this helpful in selecting the right campaigns and platform to use for your clients or yourself. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment below or send me a private message using the form on my website. It's in the link below. Stay tuned, guys. Peace out.